Hey guys, it's Miss Keenum, and I wanted to give you some different activity ideas that you could do that will go along with our reading of Charlotte's Web. So today I've read through chapter 13 and posted those read alouds to YouTube. I plan to read at least a couple chapters every day till we get to the end. Some of the ideas that we'll discuss here in just a minute are ideas that you can do now, and some are ideas that you may want to wait to the end of the book to do. Okay, so our first activity is going to be draw a picture. So pick out your favorite chapter, your favorite scene, your favorite event that we've read so far from the book Charlotte's Web and draw a picture about that event. Remember to include as much detail as you can. You haven't been able to see the pictures, so this is a great way for you to put on paper what you've imagined as you've heard the readings. Next, make a comic strip. So this one could include several boxes of where you write down or draw pictures of the events that have happened so far. So events that you remember from the first few chapters and the events we've read more recently. Draw a picture of those events and write just a simple sentence, two at the most, of what each picture represents. Next, you could describe your favorite character. We've mentioned several characters. We've learned about several characters from the book. Pick out your favorite character and tell me about that character. Tell me why it's your favorite character and then describe that character. So for example, if my favorite character is Wilbur, I could say, well, Wilbur's a pig. He likes to eat. He is terrific. Anything about Wilbur, I could describe that. I could describe it in writing or with pictures. Next, act out the story. So grab some family members and put on a show. Act out what we've read about so far in Charlotte's Web, or you could even save this to the end of the book and act out the entire story. Retell the story. There's several different ways to retell the story. One of those would be by acting the story out like we just talked about, or you could simply just tell a family member about the story, about the events and what we've read so far, or you can make a book. But remember, anything you do to retell the story, you need to include the main characters, you need to include the setting where the story happened. In Charlotte's Web, the setting would be the Zuckerman's farm. And then you need to tell what's happened at the beginning of the story, what's happening in the middle of the story, and what happens at the end of the story. So this is something you could do now or later once we finish the book. Make up a different ending. This will definitely be something you have to wait till we finish the story. But once we get there, tell me, do you like the ending? Do you not like the ending? How would you have made the ending? However you want, just make up a different ending to the story. Color. If you follow this link, there's some coloring pages that you can either print and color by hand with crayons or markers, color pencils, whatever you have, or you can color online. But just remember, these coloring pages are of Charlotte's Web, but just remember, before you follow any links, always get a parent and ask for parents' help. Next, you could draw a spider's web, or even better, you could draw one of the spider's webs or one of the webs Charlotte created. So today we read where Charlotte created a web that said some pig, and we also read where she created a web that said terrific. So either draw a basic spider's web or one Charlotte created. Next, tell what you learned from the book Charlotte's Web. Have you learned something about life on a farm? Have you learned something about different types of animals? Have you learned something about friendship so far? Whatever you've learned, write or draw a picture of what you've learned. Okay, next, write what you would have done if you were Wilbur when he escaped. Remember, a few chapters ago when Wilbur first got to the Zuckerman's farm, we read about how he got out of his pig pen and ran across the farm a little bit. Tell me what you would have done if you were Wilbur during that time. You can either draw pictures of what you would have done or write me something to say what you would have done if you were Wilbur when he escaped. And then lastly, you could write about what you would do if you were an animal on the farm with Wilbur and Charlotte. What would you do if you were the goose? What would you do if you were Templeton? What would you do if you were the sheep? So just write something about what you would do if you were an animal on the farm. Okay, lastly, here are some website links that you can go to for more Charlotte's Web activity ideas, but just remember, like I said before, always ask a parent and get a parent's help before you follow any links. Thanks for listening, and I hope you have enjoyed these activity ideas and the reading of Charlotte's Web so far.